Hey folks, I'm Ben from eXplore, and this is Field of Glory Empires. I don't think this is a game that we've covered before, and I don't know why, because it's really, really good. It's a grand strategy game set in the classical era, and it's got some interesting game mechanics that set it aside from other strategy games of its ilk. I like this best out of all the grand strategy games that have been released in recent years. It's turn-based, so that sets it aside from the Paradox games, and it's just really, really well done, and I'll explain why as we go into the game. The reason why we're looking at this now is because Slitherine are just about to release a DLC for it, and the original campaign was based around the rise of Rome, and it was set from 310 BCE to 190 CE. So there's a fairly long period of time based around the breakup of Alexander the Great's empire and the rise of the Roman Empire, essentially. Now, the DLC is based around the rise of Persia, so we're 200 years before even, and so this one's set from 550 BCE to 330 BCE. And in this time, the Persian Empire moved from its sort of base in kind of modern day Iran and took over huge swathes of the territory around it, and in a very short space of time. So this game looks at that era in greater detail and allows you to play one of many factions in that kind of era. The Greek world is also very, very much still a power in this area at this time. So you've got Athens and Sparta are two of the major factions in this game, and Egypt is one of the others. I think historically, I think Persia actually took over Egypt and didn't hold on to Egypt for very long. The reason why I'm talking about Egypt is because I think I'm going to play this game, this Let's Play as Egypt. The reason why I'm not playing as Persia is because Persia, I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting as a Let's Play to play Egypt, and the reason being is because Persia at the start, they've got mechanics set in place so that they really have to take over Medea and Babylon very, very fast, and it happens very, very quickly. And as a result, quite early in the game, you're dealt with kind of sorting out all the regions and provinces and doing a lot of building maintenance very, very early on. So these are going to be a really, really good beginner faction for somebody who's not played the game, because they have quite an easy ride of it at the start, but it doesn't stay like that. And you will face some, Medea don't put up much of a fight, to be honest, but Babylon do a little bit more. So you do have to, it kind of teaches you the game, and it shows you how to deal with a very large, with a pretty large faction. I mean, look, this is a large portion of the map that you will take very quick. But I think that for the purposes of a Let's Play, it might be a bit more interesting if we look at someone else. So I've decided to look at Egypt. And the reason being is because Egypt aren't immediately under any huge threat, which means it gives us a bit of space to look at the way that the building mechanics work in this game. Now, the province mechanics. I want to do that because I think that's one of this game's strongest points. Is the way that it's very much a military conquest game, but it's got a wonderful, wonderful grand strategy element to it too, and it has some really great mechanics that stop faction snowballing. Particularly the concept of decadence is just really, really great in this game. Okay, so without getting too much into the sort of flavour of the game, I just want to say one thing. AGEOD, who made this game, have really, really done their research. It's clear, and if you select any one of these major nations, or even the remarkable factions, in fact, I think even lots of these small factions, they've got so much flavor text, and they've done some real historical research into finding who was where on the map at this time, and you can just go through and just look at all these wonderful factions, not just the big ones like Carthage and Rome and Sparta, but some of these really small ones. I mean, the map goes right from sort of modern day Great Britain all the way across to modern day Pakistan, and kind of everything in between. It's a huge game. It's got so much scope. So yeah, it's a real work of art. They've done so much research, and so much painstaking work's gone into creating very different gameplay mechanics and rules for each different nation. Like I say, Persia have got a series of mechanics that make it so it's it kind of helps them to traditionally do what they did in that historical period. But if you want to play against them, you could play. If you really wanted a really hard game, you could play as Medea or Babylon or Elam, and really use your knowledge of the game to try to fight a very, very difficult situation. So very much like the Paradox games in that respect. Okay, so we're going to play as Egypt. Just quickly, I'm going to read out the gameplay from the gameplay tab. This is worth looking at when you're playing this game because it gives you an idea of kind of how to play and the challenges you'll face. They're set as a difficulty 3, which means that they're not too difficult, and their interest is 4. So this is kind of something they've added to tell you whether certain factions are more or less interesting to play as in this particular scenario. Okay, so Egypt enjoys an apparently safe area with not too many neighbours, and except for Meroe, which are here, none will challenge you immediately. Beware of the rise of Persia though, and secure alliances while you can. Many powers will covet the strong economy and cultural riches you possess. So being in Egypt, we have access to the pyramids and Thebes, and we're quite close to the ruined Temple of Solomon too, which we might be able to take. So these are all culture is a really important thing in this game. It's kind of more important in this game than it is in many other grand strategy games of its type, because okay, so just very, very quickly, I don't want this to be a tutorial, but I think it's worth just looking at how the game is played very quickly for people who don't know. So this is our nation overview. Here's our leader, who is absolutely abysmal at the start of the game. This guy is just terrible. We want to get rid of him as soon as possible. We've got our government type here. Now, here's what we want to look at. The game is won or lost through legacy, and legacy is a point system that you accumulate. Now, legacy is accumulated through different things. You get it from government, you get it from the wonders that you've got in your territory, you get it from winning objectives, which are generally to do with taking regions from your rivals, and through culture points. So, as I was saying, culture is really important because as your culture accumulates, you get more legacy points to win the game. If we go to the ledger, we can go and have a look at the CDR. Hold on, is that what we want? Legacy, there we are. So this is the Legacy League table, I guess, and it just goes to show who is winning on this table. Now we start off with a lot of legacy points in this game. That's because Egypt always do. I think they did in the original game too. They started at the top, and that's because we've got access not only to a fairly large territory, but we've also got some world wonders in our area. So other people will make us their target because they will want those world wonders. You'll notice Athens and Babylon, Sparta and Lydia are all kind of in the top 5. So, and we can have a quick look at those. So Babylon is here. You have to forgive me because my geography is absolutely terrible. I think this is kind of modern day Syria, I believe, but forgive me if I'm wrong there. This kind of area here. So we will be coming into contact with them quite soon. We share a border with them around Palestine. And like I say, I think that they've got, if we look here, they've got the ruined Temple of Solomon, or the ruined Solomon Temple, which was sacked by I think it was the Babylonians. They sacked it in an act of aggression against the Jews. So that is also a cultural relic, and we want that. That's going to be an early game. I wouldn't be surprised if that's set as an early game target for us. But we will want to try and take that anyway. And Babylon, they are going to fall to Persia. I'm absolutely certain of it, unless the computer doesn't play it very well. But I'm pretty sure it will. They're designed to do that. So we will be bumping, locking horns with Babylon early. Let's just go back to that table. So you'll see here the legacy points. The way this works is we accumulate legacy points each turn in the ways that I showed, and if anything happens, like if we lose the game, if we're defeated, we can still potentially win if we've accumulated enough legacy points. While that doesn't seem like very much fun, this isn't your standard map painting game. There is a mechanic in this called Decadence. Now, Decadence, just like culture, is generated every turn in a variety of ways, mostly through your actions and through the sheer size of your empire. And the decadence mechanic makes it so that if you grow too quickly without growing your culture, like, so for example, in a game like something like Master of Orion, there's no real penalty to just kind of swallowing up everybody around you very, very quickly in order to expand your empire as quickly as possible. You can't do that in this game, and this prevents you from snowballing very too quickly, because what will happen is you'll get an equivalent rise in decadence, and when your decadence hits a certain point, it becomes very, very damaging to you. So you'll start having provinces start rebelling, and then eventually you'll end up in a civil war. And you have these kind of your empire goes through these stages, right? So at the moment we are. Let's have a look at our progress. So you've got government. Your faction ages, and this is to do with your where your government is at the moment. So at the moment there's this kind of tree. I'm seeing if I can find where it is. You have to forgive me because I've not played this game in single player for a little while, although I've had a really good multiplayer game of it which ended not so long ago. Okay, so we have this government system. At the moment we're in a stable monarchy. Now if we play our cards right and we keep our culture up and our decadence down, we will move to a glorious monarchy. After glorious monarchy, you'll move up to an empire, and you'll have first you'll be a young empire, then to stable, then to glorious, and glorious empire. That's basically the highest you can go, and once you hit glorious empire, you'll start accumulating a lot of decadence. So, but the game is designed so that you can't get too big without generating decadence, and it's just like in real life, everything has a cycle of life, death, and then rebirth, and it works very much in the same way with your empire in this game. If you struggle and you end up maybe taking too much colonies too early, or something else happens in order to knock your government down, you'll actually go down a level. So these are these kind of like civilization levels that you've got to navigate your way through too. And it's not the end of the world if you start having a really terrible time in this game, because you're always accumulating decadence points. So even if you go through a civil war, it can be fun to kind of, go through that terrible time, pick up the pieces and then reconquer, because you may well find that you get more legacy points as a result. It's just a really, really interesting way of approaching the game. It's not immediately the most intuitive game. It does require you. This is one of those games where reading the manual is absolutely critical. While there are great tooltips and all the information that you need is kind of at your fingertips, you do need to really read the rules. The way that you manage your provinces is also quite complex, and the way that trade and the building system works is actually quite complex. So I'm going to do my best to explain it well without kind of slowing the game down too much. Okay, so we are currently in turn 1. It's year 550 BC. And we've got a coming storm with regards to Persia. Within 5 or 10 years, they are going to be on our doorstep, very, very likely. So what we need to do is we need to build ourselves some way of, or generate some way of defending ourselves. And the way that we're going to do that is by manipulating all of our provinces, or developing all our provinces, so that they're making decent amounts of money, decent amounts of culture, and able to support a decent army. So first of all, we can have a quick look at what we've got. This is 1 Stratos. So this is our first army. Now this general is appalling. He's got 0 stars in offense and defense. I'll explain how that works later, but we want to replace this guy. He's just useless. So let's swap him out for Surinus. He's got 2 stars in defense, so he's a good defender, but he's really terrible in attack. So every time you swap them, by the way, it takes a whole turn before you'll take a big penalty to your army's abilities for a whole turn. So you can't swap them around too much and without really thinking about it. Okay, so this is our main army. We've got 2 sets of Egyptian war chariots, we've got 2 units of Egyptian archers, and 2 units of Egyptian spearmen. Not the best units. They're not terrible, they're not the best. So we haven't really got much of a fighting force at the start of this game. We do have a few armies, and each of your provinces have a natural garrison. So look, you'll see in the tooltip. Let's just look at this province here, Diopolis. Diopolis has a population of 1, which means that when it's attacked, it will defend itself with approximately 1 unit. So This game, in Field of Glory Empires, there's always going to be some defense to every province that you take. You can't just you can roll across the map, but it's more difficult than in other games because there's always some kind of defense. You don't have to build defending units to defend every territory. That's one of the things that's great about this game. I love it. Okay, so just have a quick look at this again. Like if we scroll out, we can see these regions. So the provinces are also organized by region, and when you've taken a certain amount of provinces, the majority of the provinces in a region, you can create the region yourself as an administrative area, and this gives you certain bonuses, particularly to a reduction in decadence. So what you want to be doing is when you're planning your expansion of this game, you want to be making sure that you take provinces so that you can create regions as quickly as possible, and this will limit the amount of decadence that you're getting from your conquest. So first of all, what do we want to do? Well, we've got Egypt here, and we've got this province here as well, which is actually separated out, and Ammon is part of the Ammonia area. So we've got this one province in this region of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be nice to be able to take before any of our neighbors take it. I don't think we have much in the way. Yeah, look, we've got Cyrene here, which I think is a Hellenistic. Oh no, not at this point. Okay, so these are nomads. Oh yeah, that's right. They are Hellenistic. So we've got some Hellens here, which are Greek. This is the Greek culture from the Greek city-states, which they've got this kind of colony here in northern Africa. I guess this must be Morocco. I don't want to show my ignorance of geography, so let's just not guess there, but it looks like Morocco, somewhere like this. So what we want to do is we want to take this area if we can. This will be good area. It's not the best land. These desert lands, they're really, really bad. Now, for anybody who has played this game, one thing that's new in this new DLC is we have what's called these are regional impediments. So you've got regional bonuses and regional impediments, and these are kind of region-based issues that you've got to deal with. So, for example, we've got the troglodyte caverns here in this particular province. Now, it's a local site in the region which adversely affects how readily you can develop this land. What this means is we get -1 food, -1 infrastructure, and -1 metal whilst this is here. So there's a food penalty of 30% and a commerce penalty as well. So this makes this area, we need to remove this. So this is something new in the game. You have to kind of pay attention to the provinces you're taking, because some of them are going to have these penalties, and some of them have got bonuses too that really help you. So now the way that we can remove this is we need a presence of an army with at least 100 combat power, and that gives you a 20% success chance per turn of removing this. So you can actually use your military to clear out these caves. I guess that's what they're saying. Okay, I'm going to now go through our starting conditions and just have a look at our buildings. The way that trade works in this game is quite interesting. So let's turn on this trade overview. What these little icons show you what is being produced in the area, or what's actually there naturally. So for example, if we click on Egyptus in Egyptus Major and we click on the trade details, you'll see here that we've got you can see here these are the buildings that we've got for in the province, right? So you've got agricultural stuff is here, then here you've got production based buildings, here you've got anything to do with money, with economy, and here's culture. So it's split into these 4 sections. So you'll see here we've got a hemp field, and the hemp is used to make cordages, also called ropes. Okay, so it produces hemp. Hemp is then used by certain manufacturers to produce things. So we are manufacturing hemp in this particular province. So you'll see here you've got manufactured trade goods. So it shows you we're actually exporting this to Mariotis, and now Mariotis is one of our own provinces. So let's just zoom out and see where that is. Mariotis. It will be within our trade range. So is it this one? There we go. So you'll see here. Look, there's a there's a little green arrow saying that we are trading between these two. So that's where hemp is going. Now, if it's trading within your faction or within your boundaries, you are going to Mariotis is going to be paying money every turn for this hemp, but you're going to be getting that money and more in Egyptus. So there's a net benefit. So this is why it's important to consider very, very carefully what you're building, because let's say that Mariotis required hemp and it will be in one of its buildings that it requires it. Let's see which one it is. It must be the barracks. Let's have a look at the trade details. Okay, so it's importing hemp and it's being used in the harbour. So it's using it for sails, clearly, for the ropes for the sails. So if we were to build a hemp field in this particular province, whilst it would satisfy this need for hemp and allow this building to function, we wouldn't be making any money ourselves. So we actually make internal trade by trading between our individual provinces. Now, if this harbour existed with no hemp available, we are going to spend a lot of money importing it from somewhere else in the world. So your buildings will always work, but they'll be really expensive. So, for example, if we look at here, these will tell you where the missing trade goods are. So we are missing flax, and flax is being used by this barracks, and we're missing pottery, and the pottery is being used by the potter's workshop. We're spending a grand total of 21 gold every turn to import these from somewhere else in the world. That's a huge amount of money. You'll see that we've got 1,500 in our treasury, but -4 per turn. So there's a couple of ways to solve this. We either build a building that creates flax, so that would be a flax field and a potter's workshop, or we demolish these buildings if we don't think that the money that we're spending on them is worth what we're getting. We've also got bonus trade goods, and these bonus goods generally give you some bonus to... Okay, so let's look at the market, for example. The market makes 6 money a turn. Now, if we've got within 1 square radius, so next to it essentially, or in 1 province radius, if we've got leather or dye or cloth or salt or all of them, we will start getting bonus money. So you'd get 5 bonus for each of these goods. So if we had a market in the center, and then say we had leather, then dye, then all these different things all around, we'd get a huge bonus. So that market all of a sudden is going to be making loads more money. So there's a really, really kind of intricate and interesting and fun kind of game, a mini game in this, there's a part of this game it revolves around building the right buildings you need in order to get the trade that you need, because trade's huge in this game. I said it was a military focused game, but I mean it's really not. You don't have to play it like that. It's one of the few sort of grand strategy games or sort of 4X-ish games that you don't necessarily always have to just win through conquest. We could sit tight in Egypt and create a massive trade empire and take some places around us that enabled us to reach. For example, if we took Serene, we could then get, if we are within our trading range, we've got a few provinces close by, we could actually start selling our goods to the other empires around us, and then they're going to be happier with us because they're making money from us, and they're that gives us a sort of element of desirability, right? I mean, this is how Carthage exists. They are a trading nation, and they don't have much manpower being based in Africa, and there's just not that many people there. However, Carthage traditionally relied on mercenaries, so they can, just like, I mean, Egypt's similar. We're going to have lots of money, and we're going to be able to use that money to build mercenaries and to buy mercenaries. So yeah, it's just really intricate. I'm getting a bit sidetracked, and there's not been much gameplay, and it's quite hard to sort of describe why this game is good if you don't sort of understand what's good about it, right? So first of all, let's start looking at our provinces one by one, and we can flick through our provinces with these buttons here. And we can select the next idle region, which is any region where you haven't got a building actively being built. So I'm going to start in our main sort of provinces. We'll start in Acanthus here. So in Acanthus, we've got a herbalist, irrigation system, and a ranch with regards to food. These generate food and health. Food and health, in a nutshell, determine how quickly your population grows. We've also got these pop icons here, and if basically you've got a certain amount of citizens and slaves, and they are different, and the citizens and slaves can be, you can drag them, or you can click on them to move them around where you want them to be focusing. So if you want to grow population quick, put everyone into the fields. If you need to build a building quick, put them into infrastructure. If you need to make money quickly, you can put them into money. However, slaves and citizens work on food and infrastructure equally, but only citizens will give you a decent bonus to money and culture. Slaves really have a very poor, they don't really work so well with money and cultural output. So you're best off putting your slaves into food and infrastructure. Okay, so we've got brickwork and wheelmaker, and we are really losing money in this province. So Acanthus is swallowing up money. Look, we're losing 35 per turn. Now this probably will be because they're missing trade goods in some of these buildings. So this is a cultural powerhouse because we've got the Sphinx and the pyramids and all that, the major temple. But we're missing. Let's have a look. We are missing stone, and the stone is being used by the Sphinx, right? So the Sphinx is costing us a lot of money because we don't have any stone. So ideally what we want to build in this province or somewhere close is a quarry, so that we can start getting rid of these problems. So first of all, population is growing relatively quickly. Let's see what we can build here. So we can build a stud, we can build a smokehouse, charcoal pile to produce coal, a training ground, which will need flax. We don't want to build that because we've not got any access to any flax. Also the same with coal. So first of all, we really need to have a look and see what it is that we've got in our area and what we can actually start making some money from. It's always worth building food production facilities early on. I mean, that's just sort of standard in these games, isn't it? You want to grow your population. The problem is if you grow your population too quickly, then you can get problems because you will have a lot of disloyalty growing, and loyalty is a thing in this game. So there's a revolt risk if your people aren't happy. If you grow them too quickly without too much cultural growth as well, then you're also going to get a lot of decadence, and we've explained why decadence is a problem. So it's really, there's so much to think about just when you're starting the game in this. I'm not going to play this. We don't have really time to play this game like too involved, and I've got it on a relatively low. I've just got it on the standard difficulty setting, so it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So what we're going to do is, if we just go back to this trade goods overlay, we'll just see what we've got around and see what it is that we could do with building. So here, I forget which hotkey it is. Forgive me. Okay, so we could do with taking these areas because we can get myrrh, dates, horses, and silk. All this stuff's really, really good. In fact, Egypt's in a strong position because you get these things like myrrh, dates, and silk they're not easily found, particularly in the European nations, in this area. So we can make a lot of money trading these. Coral, purple's a dye, and all this kind of stuff, papyrus as well. So what we want to do is build up this kind of trading network. Okay, so first of all, getting rid of these issues if we can. So we could do with building stone. Now the way the buildings work, you don't get to choose what to build every turn from a big list. It basically gives you choices in each category. So you've got 5 categories: agriculture, health, infrastructure, or these 2 infrastructures. These are materials productions and training stuff, stuff to do with your army. Then you got economic stuff, and then cultural based stuff. Or it will give you a choice of one, and the little number in the corner tells you how many turns it's going to take to build. So if you don't like the choices you've got, you can spend a couple of turns shuffling it. And this, basically, the way that the developers describe this, it's like they're like saying, the opportunity to build things doesn't always come up, and sometimes the opportunity will be there for a certain system to develop. And so this randomized building system is really cool because you might want to build the market here with all of the trade goods around it so that you can start pumping out huge amounts of trade. The problem is you won't get chance just to pick that. There's a randomized element. So you have to use what you've got. And bearing in mind, yeah, you can re-roll, but you want to be building something useful most turns. So it's really like it's just really cool how it works in that respect. I don't think everybody will like it, but I love it. I think it's just really it's really in depth, and you can really get into the meat of it. Like, I found my multiplayer game quite hard to play because I was spending so long each turn kind of just sort of umming and ahhing over which buildings I wanted to build. Okay, so so brickwork here will give us more infrastructure. More infrastructure is always good. The problem is we don't have the stone to get the bonus, but we don't really need the bonus. Stud would be good because it gives us more food. So I think in this particular place we're going to build a stud. At the start, I'm going to try and get as much food production going on as possible. So we're going to build a stud here. This will also provide horses. You'll see here it produces horses, but it can already be imported from these other places. Now, yeah, you have to be a bit careful about having too many duplicates, because all these you've only got one. You only need one set of. You only need horses once, really, if you're trading it. However, if you're using it as a bonus good, then you need it to be adjacent to wherever it is that is using that bonus. So sometimes it can be worth building more than one. However, the added bonus to this is that we get food from it. So I'm going to build it anyway, and we need food in this area because we are growing very slow. Look, 18 turns. Let's have a look at the next one. This has got a hemp field, a slave market, trading post, and the royal tomb. So they're getting loads of money in culture, but they haven't got much in the way of food. We don't want to build another stud. Well, could we get yeah, mind you, the stud might be a good idea just so that we can start getting more food early. This one can, again, there's lots of horses. It's giving me options for lots of horses this time around. Now this produces coal, okay, so we need coal. So I'm going to produce a charcoal pile here because I'm pretty sure that we don't have any charcoal. So we don't have any coal. It was this one that was missing it, wasn't it? Where was it? Well, this is... I can't remember what it was now. I might be going crazy. Never mind. But we will need that trade good. So, okay, I'm just going to carry on through. So it's just going to find some other things to build. A settled oasis. That's interesting. Oh, this produces olive oil, which we can import, but from somewhere else. Yeah, let's get that. That's going to give us food and all sorts of bits and pieces. So some of the buildings that you can build are locked to the type of province that you're in as well. So let's go to this province here, AS. Oh, this is a sterile basin, so we're getting a food penalty in here. We're going to get lots of food penalties in the area around Egypt. So it might be worth building... Oh, we've already got a shepherd house in one of our other areas. We could build an anchorage here. Is it going to be useful having an anchorage? Yes, it might well be. So I don't know if we've already got a harbour. I think traditionally there was a harbour here, wasn't there? In this Troglodytes area. I think there was a famous harbour there. Okay, well, there isn't one now, so maybe we could... we've got... we can build the coastal market. Let's get that. We will build a coastal market. That gives us food. Here we can build an anchorage, so I'm going to do that. That doesn't take any slots, and it gives you money straight away, and it enables you to build ships. There's a building chain that comes from anchorage, so that we can actually build ships, and we may actually need that. If it's possible that you know, once Persia gets going, we might be able to attack them directly, you know, by sea. So let's carry on. What have we got here? This is extreme weather and trading tents. Trading tents is pretty cool. We've got missing bonuses of dates, silks, and ivory. But we're getting a bonus from frankincense. That's good. So the problem is the population isn't growing. It's a tiny province. Cassiotis. So first of all, we need to put everybody into food. We're going to start losing infrastructure though. Yeah, this is not good. This situation is not good. Maybe, I think that, yeah, we're not going to build it in that time. See, if we've got a negative number here in infrastructure, eventually there's a chance that we'll lose these buildings that we've got. This is not a good province. We've got a market here too. The market wants leather dye and cloth. We've got salt, the bonus from salt, which is good. So let's get leather dyeing cloth. We can't build any of those. I'm just going to build the shepherd house and try and get some more food in this area. Okay. And it's coastal province. This has got quite a high population. So we can build a farm. Okay, this will give us a decent amount of food. Although our food's not too bad here. We can also build the armourer. We'd lose money though. Look, we're losing 9 money because we've not got leather and we're having to trade for it. But that does give us quite a lot of equipment. Now, equipment is basically built up, and it represents your military supplies. So once you've got a certain amount of equipment, you can supply your troops with equipment. So that would actually be really useful. I don't think we've got much in the way of military capability, and we're going to need that. Problem is, it's going to cost us money. We could also build trading tents, which that might be worth doing because we've got silk nearby. So yeah, let's build that first and start getting some money. I think we're going to resign ourselves to the fact that militarily we're not going to be very good for a while. Okay, farm, herbalist. Herbalist might be worthwhile. We're losing money here, so a commercial port might work. Mind you, we need sales and we need to trade for them, so we're going to be losing even more money. So that's not good to buy at this point. Let's build a farm. I'm gonna try and get Egypt's food production up as much as possible. There's a large farm here because we've already got a farm, so we can upgrade this to a large farm by the looks of it. Yeah, can be upgraded to a large farm, so that might be worth getting. Infrastructure is also worth getting. We could build a palisade, which is a defensive structure. Crafty district would give us more money. Money's also good. I'm gonna go for the crafty district there. And I'm going to take those guys out of money production and put them into infrastructure, just so that we're building that a bit quicker. Salt marsh. Okay, we could produce salt. Now, is there anywhere that needs salt around us? Let's just have a look at the trade details. So we're importing salt here, and we're importing it from Cassiotis. So we don't want to build salt here because we're actually importing it already, and that's making us money. So let's instead get... Let's go for the harbour. Oh, hang on. Is that going to cost us money? Yeah, it's going to cost us money because we don't have... Oh, hang on. We've got hemp trading required. So we don't need sales for the harbour. We just need hemp itself. Well, let's do that because that's going to create a trade need and that will create money. This place has got lots of food by the looks of it. So we could build... We've got public works, which is basically roads. This is kind of road infrastructure. We could also build a market, but we don't have pottery. These decadence reduction buildings are also really good, but I think we're going to go for something else first. We won't have a huge amount of decadence. Oh, mind you, we've got a monument here, and that creates decadence. Yeah, that might be worth getting actually, and it also increases our culture, so it's going to take a while, but yeah, let's go for that. Sorry, at the start of the game there is going to be a lot. I'm afraid you have to really kind of go through these buildings kind of carefully and you know, really plan on what you're going to build. So here we'll go with we've got a decent food output here. Maybe the charcoal pile would be good. Mind you, we're going to lose money on it. Maybe not then. Furnace. Oh wow, Egypt's in a real interesting position because we're lacking on some basic things that we need in order to make money. So I think, for example, we don't have access to iron here. If you're starting, let's say you're starting somewhere over here, or you know, over here, you're gonna anywhere where there's lots of mountains, you're gonna have much more access to metal. So you can actually make a real living off selling metal. You can swap it for manpower, and you can swap it for money as well. But we don't have that luxury here. We're probably going to have to trade for it. Excuse me. Okay, so let me think about this. We'll probably go for... I think I'll build the furnace. We're going to need... We haven't got much in the way of iron, so I think we're going to need that. So that's going to create 4 metal. It's going to cost money. So we are going to have to, we're going to have to take a hit on that. Cannot. Public Works. Again with the blacksmith. Ah, no, the blacksmith here produces metal, but isn't going to lose us money. That's a better option too. And we've got this province here. And here we are really we just need to put everyone into growth, I think. Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We're going to lose these, I think, but we need to grow as quickly as possible. So we'll go for the stud. This is another bad province. Shepherd House, Stone Cutter, Trading Tent, Slave Market. Okay, this has got some cultural buildings too. I might build a palisade here because we're close to Meru, and it might be that we get attacked here. Now, I think we're about done with our initial buildings. Yes, we are. So now we need to think about where we're going to try and take, because we do want to expand our territory. We could try and take this area at Sinai. That might be worth taking. Look, there's only 4 units roughly on each one. Now they're desertic, which is we're Egyptian. When you take over a colony or a province which doesn't have the same ethnicity as you, I think there's more of a decadence loss. I think that's how it works. So it might be that certain factions they don't get such a decadence loss if they're taking back areas that they think belong to them. For example, in the main game, if you play as someone like Pontus or some of the other Hellenistic kind of factions, you don't get as much of a decadence penalty when you're taking over areas that are also Hellenistic. So it allows you to be sort of selectively aggressive. That might be what I'm thinking of. All right. Okay. So we've got this kind of pretty not great army. We might be wise to take Egyptus Inferior here. So let's try and taking these two provinces. Oh, this one province. So let's put these 2 units together. So we just go here. This is in a separate province. So let's move this army into here and this army into here. I think that's probably the best way to do it, because our general is just so bad that I think we're going to have to attack en masse. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I might just leave the rest. We haven't got a lot of manpower in this place, and we've got decent money, so we'd be good to build a mercenary building so we can recruit mercs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this as my next conquest. Once we've swapped our general. This general is really bad. It's not going to be much use. Okay, guys, that's a 40-minute video, so I'm gonna end it there before we roll the turn. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's going to be a little bit slow at the start, just because it takes a while to kind of explain everything that's going on. But we've examined at where we are. We've examined some potential first strategic options. We've looked at the building system and how trade works, and well, at least how you have to structure your provinces and the buildings that are in them in order to best maximize them, their trade output. And we've just had a kind of look at the game in general. So next episode we'll look at turn 2, and then the action will get started. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the video, just let us know. If you don't like the video, let us know. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.